Welcome to Beyond Cerebral, a community that seeks lasting transformation in individual lives by moving beyond the cerebral to live in the revelation of Jesus Christ. Thanks for tuning in today. If you want to learn more about our community, connect with us by scanning the QR code on your screen. So last year in November, Rodney and I were down in Orlando. Rodney's my husband. We were down in Orlando and we decided to go to Jesus Image to check out their ministry and see what it was like. And he really wanted to go. I honestly was like, I could have either way, but he really wanted to go. So we went, and when we were there, we got there late. So we're sitting up in their like balcony area or whatever. And so again, my heart was kind of like, I'm here for him. Like, I love the Lord, but I just wasn't into this big corporate worship event. I was like, oh. But when we got there, I instantly, as soon as the music started, I stood up to worship with everybody else, and I had to sit down because the power of God just hit me so hard. And I just started bawling, and I'm like, why am I crying? What is wrong with me right now? And I really felt like God said, you have some things that you're disappointed in, and we need to talk about that. And I was just like, okay, like I wasn't seeking that. That's not something, but he told me to write down the things that I was disappointed in, and I wrote them all down. And then he said, great, now you're going to fast and pray about those things, and I'm going to help you with it. And I was just like, again, this is November. This is the middle of November. So before Thanksgiving, and God's saying you're going to fast. And I was like, how long are we going to do this fast? And
it'll be done by Thanksgiving, right, God?
40-day fast starting right before Thanksgiving. So yes, I miss Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, all of it. But it was what God called me to do, and he gave me the grace in that. And it was a phenomenal time. Like, I submitted to him. I walked it out. It was a phenomenal time. I got a lot out of it. All the things, all the disappointments that I had written down, I've seen shift in this year. Because again, that was, the end of 2024 going into 2025, and throughout 2025, a lot of things have changed because I took that time and I focused, and the Lord was calling me to it. So my biggest thing with fasting, I think that we can personally just say, hey, I want to fast like for a day or two, and that works out pretty good. But if you're going to do any kind of extended fast, you really have to hear from the Lord, because if you just try to do it on your own, it's really, really difficult. But when he's calling you to it, it can be much easier, and it can be a really good thing. And he does call us to fast. He absolutely does. But yeah, I would say extended fast, just be mindful of that. But yeah.
Yeah, fasting, I think, is one of those things that tends to be overlooked.
Yes.
In our Christian culture here in the United States. It's not talked about a whole lot. I know I feel like I did a lot of, I'll put it in quotation marks, fasting when I was younger. And I have to be honest, when I look back at it, I know people who knew that I was doing it like in high school because I didn't eat lunch,
Sure.
or whatever. Like, wow, you're so spiritual. And I think there was some measure of spirituality there, but I think it was so mixed with eating disorder and so again, just kind of be aware. I actually got away from fasting for a very long time because I was afraid of re-triggering a past issue that I struggled with for years. So, but one time we were at a prophetic conference, this was a few years ago, and the prophet who was ministering just had these incredible downloads. It's like, wow, I'm like, usually I have to really warm up to get this level of revelation. And here I am right out the gate. And I can just like see basically everything about this woman's life, and was speaking so much breakthrough, and she was receiving, and she goes, well, I've been fasting all week before this conference. And he goes, that's it. That's why. And God used that to highlight to me, there is real power in fasting.
Absolutely.
And it's just my personal journey said, you've been healed of that past. You're healed, and it's time for you to start leaning in to this spiritual powerhouse of fasting.
Yeah.
And you talked about that the Bible does tell us to fast.
It does. Yeah.
Actually does not leave it optional when you actually look at the verses.
That was actually what I was going to start with. In Matthew 6:16-18, the very first line says, when you fast, do not look somber as the hypocrites do. It doesn't say if you choose to fast, It says when you fast. That means it's an automatic. We are supposed to be doing that. It's when you fast, do not look somber as the hypocrites do, for they disfigure their faces to show others they are fasting. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you fast, put oil on your head and wash your face so that it will not be obvious to others that you are fasting, but only to your Father who is unseen. And your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. So that even speaks to the fact that there's a reward for fasting. It doesn't say possibly, maybe, whatever. It says when you fast, if you do it this way, here's the reward that you will get. Now, I do know that some people will put oil on their heads and do the whole nine. I don't know that it's necessarily saying that. It's more saying in those moments, like, consecrate yourself in your fasting, but also when you go out, nobody needs to know that. So wash your hair, wash your face, look put together, so to speak, so that people aren't like, oh, you look horrible today. Debbie, are you fasting again? Is that what's happening? And you're like, yes, I'm doing another fast unto the Lord. Like right. That can be the whole thing. But that's how the hypocrites were in those days. They would, put ash and sackcloth and walk around very somber, so everybody knew what they were doing and why they were doing it. And that's not the point. The point of fasting is not about showing everybody else how good you are at starving yourself. That's not the point. The point of fasting is I'm denying myself something. And as I'm denying that thing, it's giving me more time to focus on the Lord. So if I'm fasting, if I'm doing like a food fast, then I am like, okay, I'm really hungry tonight now. I should stop and pray. And it forces me to think more about him and to spend time with him. That is, the heart behind it, so to speak. It's not oh, I'm starving, let me tell everybody how hungry I am and that I'm fasting in this season, so they all go, oh, you're so spiritual and amazing. No, not at all.
And just right there, that is the reward. If that's why you're doing it, and that's
then you got it. Yep,
that is the reward.
Yep.
And I don't know about you, but I don't want that as my reward. I want whatever reward my Father has, not what other people has. And I think that's really the heart there. I love Brian Souter's title to his book about fasting, Hungry for God. So when I get hungry when I'm fasting, I'm like, God, I'm hungrier for you and I want you more. And again, just going back to, we can talk about fasting.
Yeah.
We can talk about it. There's no secret about fasting. It is expected in scripture that as a faith community, we are fasting.
Yeah.
So we can talk about it. It's about not drawing attention to yourself when you're fasting. It's not looking to build up your pride and your ego and your spirituality in other people's eyes. Yeah. So again, just kind of parsing through that. I know Brian, when he teaches on fasting, he talks about, when people gather for community gatherings with church, there should always kind of be a table of people who are just drinking water or tea because they're fasting. And it should just kind of be expected.
That should be the normal.
Yeah. That should be the norm. And everybody else over here is eating. So again, fasting, so good, so powerful. It's like crucifying the flesh. It's a very practical way to almost win a battle over your flesh, because you are taking an act of saying, God, I want you more than this, or God, I am giving this to you. And there's so much power in that for us to live in victory and to live in breakthrough.
Again, it's about the sacrifice. And so when we even think about fasting and we're focusing on food, we have to remember that you can fast many different things. Some people do media fasts, right? Like, okay, I am on my phone or on my computer, whatever, way too much, and I need to take a break from that. I'm going to take, a month and just fast and spend more time with the Lord instead of getting so sucked into these other earthly, worldly things. And that can be so powerful because, again, replacing that time of just scrolling on your, with, okay, I'm going to purposefully worship. I'm going to purposefully pray. You're going to build that relationship so much more than, the fake online stuff. So there's different ways to do that. Whatever it is I think there's a lot of times whenever there's something that's more important in your life than God, it may be time to fast that thing.
Yeah. And that's a really good point, especially if you're somebody like me who struggled with eating disorders and you may not want to re-trigger some past things until you're really free and healed. You can fast other things. Social media, screens is a great thing to fast. Just saying. It frees up a lot of time, gets a lot of that gunk out of your mind, redirect,
Absolutely.
refocus. So good. So when we talk about fasting, and we talked about it a little bit already, it brings so much breakthrough
Yes.
into our lives. So much breakthrough. I know this year in particular, I was like, God, I want to show you. It's kind of like I tithe my money and I give you that first 10%. I want to give you the first week of every month. So the first week of every month, I'm going to fast and I'm going to seek you. And the breakthrough he brought was just incredible. The transformation that he brought was incredible. I'm like, I think I want to do that again next year. And plus it kept me honest. It kept me on a rhythm. Like, oh, I can't just, I'm just not going to do it. I was like, no, I'm going to stick to this the first week of every month, God, because this year I want to do something extra to show you that this belongs to you and this is yours. And so
my 19-year-old has been doing that this year every Wednesday. He's been fasting on Wednesdays. And so it's really funny because on Tuesday, sometimes I'm like, hey, I'm thinking about dinner tomorrow night. What do you want? Like I did this last week. I'm like, what do you want for dinner tomorrow night? And he goes, Mom, it's Wednesday. And I was like, and I was like, oh, that's right. You're fasting. Okay, never mind. Like, it's just funny, but it's good for him that once a week, like he's really keeping that discipline. And it does. That is a huge part. That's why they're called spiritual disciplines, right? Because it disciplines us in our way that we're growing, the way we're reacting to the Lord even and spending time with him. So
yeah, absolutely. So for me, having that structure once, the first week of month or one day a week is good. I know other people say, oh, I can't do that. I just seek God and he tells me when to fast and for how long to fast. So both are good.
It can go both ways.
It can go either way. Depends on you, between you and the Holy Spirit, what's going to work. I know a lot of times people will fast for direction. Say, oh, I'm at a turning point and God, I don't know what to do and I'm not hearing you, in the everyday, seeking you. So you know what? I'm going to fast and I'm going to really press into this and I'm going to seek, what do you want here? Because a decision must be made. And my logic and wisdom isn't doing it. And the regular prayer time isn't doing it. So we're going to level up,
fast and pray,
level up the power here. And we're going to fast and pray.
It's good. That's really good. Revelation, just because you're trying to, maybe there's something in the Bible that you don't understand. And you're like, God, I need a rhema, right? I need a rhema word from you. I need something that is fresh and new. And what you're downloading to me, I'm going to take some time and pray and fast today and really try to understand this and then spend time with him and really see what he does. It's good.
Yeah, so good. Healing. I know people have fasted for healing and has seen breakthrough. They've seen God work miraculous healings that, there was a doctor's diagnosis one day and the next week there was not. Yeah. So just, again, going into healing, going into leveling into deeper intimacy and deeper power in the spirit through fasting.
It's really good. Yeah. Yeah. And for supernatural, again, which kind of goes along with the healing, but yeah, when you pray and fast, you can see, because of your level of closeness with the Lord, because you're right there, it does, it changes things in that, and the supernatural can become natural too.
It really changes things. And I often think of when I'm fasting, I'm feasting with God. So again, I'm hungrier for you, God, than my body is hungry right now because it gets really hungry. And God, when I'm fasting in the natural, I am feasting in you. And just going back to that supernatural breakthrough, there's a man named Bob Stevenson who has an incredible ministry in Mexico. And he was called to I don't remember how many days, but it was more than one day of a dry fast. So no water, nothing to drink even.
That's tough.
Yeah. Right. But he did it and God gave him the grace to do it. And then when he broke fast, there was a major revival that lasted years that he led. And there's I don't even know. I don't even want to say exaggerate, but many hundreds of churches in his network.
Wow.
So that God birthed because he was faithful, that God said, I want you to dry fast. Now, God has never asked me to do that.
And again, that was a God ask.
That was a God ask.
Because that would be really tough on your own.
That's really tough. But he did it. And God brought such supernatural breakthrough, glory outpouring, healings, miracles. I mean, incredible, the testimony that came out of that. But it was because he listened, he obeyed, and God did breakthrough.
Good.
So as we prepare to fast, we have to prepare our hearts. We have to prepare our minds.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's important as you're going into a fast to, I always say first and foremost, especially if you're going to do something that's a little bit, if you're doing a week or less, medically speaking, you're probably fine. It's not as, unless you know that you're like, you already have a condition like you're diabetic or something like that. Obviously there's cases where you have to be mindful, but I always warn people, if you're going to do a longer fast, talk to your doctor first, make sure you've had a physical recently or things like that, just so that you know that you're not going to hurt your body in some way. Of course, staying hydrated is huge, unless, again, God's calling you to do a dry fast, like, and that's a whole nother realm. I've never done that. That's a whole nother level. But when I have fasted, like the fast that I did, the 40-day at the beginning of the year, or I'm sorry, at the end of the year last year, was an eye-opener for me, in that I wasn't thinking about getting electrolytes in. Our bodies do need that. And so I started getting very just dizzy, just not feeling great. And I was like, I'm not putting electrolytes in the water I'm drinking. So then as long as I had like a bottle of electrolytes a day, the rest of the day I could just drink water and I was fine. But you have to learn your body. And that was me. Some people can do it without it. They don't need the electrolytes. I did. So listen to your body. Yeah, that's important.
Yeah. And you might be surprised how much water you actually get through food. Because I noticed I already drink a lot of water. I'm a water guzzler. But I noticed what I usually drink was not even close to enough. And I was like, why am I so thirsty? I'm not even eating to like get that solid in there that I was thinking sops up the moisture. But I got on Google and I was like, actually, we get so much fluid through food. So you probably need to think about drinking more
than you
normally would
Absolutely.
drink to stay hydrated enough. As we prepare, you don't want to overload. The temptation is like, oh, I'm going to go hit the smorgasbord.
I'm going to go to all the things because I'm not going to eat. Yeah.
But that's actually really not what you should be doing. You should kind of be preparing your body a little bit. Again, kind of tapering down a little bit, maybe before you enter a fast, especially if it's an extended fast. And just some things to be aware of when you fast.
Hey, Debbie, before you move on, I have a question. Because I know these videos go everywhere. What's Shady Maple?
Shady Maple is a huge buffet smorgasbord that is local to us, that is pretty popular, pretty famous around beyond our area.
But definitely in Pennsylvania.
So anyway, so as you get ready to fast, some things that you want to be aware of, you might get dizzy. You might get dizzy, but that is a little bit different than disorientation, which is when you really have that, not like cloud fog, but you're like really like confused and having a hard time thinking. I personally would say if you're just dizzy, maybe take it easy, make sure you're hydrated, maybe try some electrolytes. If you're disoriented, it might be a good idea to stop. And break the fast. It's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And remember that God's not up there, yelling at you like, oh, you said you were going to do a full week and you've only done 3 days. That's terrible. Like, no, he understands our bodies. He understands our limitations. Don't push through if you're really feeling bad. And some of it is, if you've never fasted before, right? You have to learn how your body fasts and how you go through it. If you're somebody who's fasted a bunch of times in the past, then you know what day you're going to be. Everybody says day 3 is usually the worst day. Then once you get past day 3, it usually calms down and it's not as bad. If you're healthy, let's put it that way. If there's other things going on, obviously, it's not going to calm down. You may want to go to a doctor again. See a doctor ahead of time. But if something's going on in the midst of the fast, be careful. Know yourself.
Yeah, like one time in the midst of the fast, I was dealing with, on day 3, some disorientation, and I had a meeting that morning. And I was like, I have to be able to think clearly for this meeting, and I'm really struggling. And then I went and I got in the shower and I almost blacked out. I had to shut the water off and drip soaking wet on my bed, laying down. And I decided I was going to break the fast. And, again, I ate that day, The next day, tried to fast again and okay, I'm going to restart, get back in the saddle. Mm-hmm. Tomorrow, I'm going to restart this fast. And by lunchtime, I was almost blacking out again. And so I decided, you know what? We're done with this one. Yeah. This week, for this month, for whatever reason, and the whatever reason turned out to be I was getting a GI bug. And I didn't know it yet. It was brewing in my system. But that weekend, it was there.
Yeah.
So again, you might be starting to brew something and you're not aware of it yet. So just listen to your body. Stay in tune.
Absolutely.
There's no problem with breaking a fast if there's a good, if there's indications that you really should be breaking the fast. But as we talked about, if you are struggling with fasting, you have a medical condition that precludes you from doing food fasting, it is not just food. You can fast social media. You can fast all screens. I know I've done just no refined sugar fasts in the past when I wanted to fast, but I was a little worried about the eating disorder history, just no sugar. Okay, because that's a struggle. I'm just saying.
We're also talking about full fasts for the most part. The reality is you can fast a meal. Like, okay, I'm not going to eat lunch today. Is fasting. As long as but the important thing, it's not just about food, like we said earlier. It can be fasting, other things in your life, whatever it is that's, taking the place of God. The important thing about it is that, it should be drawing you closer to God. So whatever it is that you're fasting during that time, being mindful to spend more time with him, maybe spend some time in worship, maybe spend some time in prayer, because that's where, you're replacing whatever you're giving up with more of the Lord. And it's about your heart and where's your heart at. If your heart is, I want to spend more time with God. I'm trying to do, what he's calling me to. I want to hear from him in different areas like we talked about. It's when you feel the loss of whatever it is that you're giving up, you're replacing that with more time with him and drawing closer to him. That's the important thing.
That's the important thing. It's not a religious practice.
It can be a meal. It can be, some people are like, I've really been hitting the sweets, so they take out sweets, or potato chips. I need to fast potato. And that's a real loss for people. Like if you can't eat potato chips for a week, that's like, oh my gosh, I could go without potato chips for a ton of time. Just, I eat differently. But some people that would be really, really, so something that is a struggle for you, something that is hard, because you don't want it to be easy, because you're not going to spend time with the Lord if it's easy. That's what I would say.
Right.
It should be a sacrifice.
Have it be a sacrifice and that I want you more, God, than I want whatever this is. Yep. And I think that's really the heart here. So as you get ready to continue the conversation in your small groups, what are some challenges we face when fasting, and how can we overcome these?
What are some ways we can prepare ourselves for fasting?
In Matthew 4:4, Jesus says, "Man shall not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from God." What does this mean, and how does it relate to fasting?
How does fasting help us learn to be loved by God?
Thank you for tuning in today. We pray you were encouraged and inspired. Scan the QR code to connect with our community and continue the conversation in a core group with one of our facilitators. Join options are in person, remote in, or virtual. Be blessed.